All right, so change is external. Sometimes things happen to us that make us want to change our jobs, and sometimes it's an internal process. If you are changing a job because you want to or because you have to, there are questions you need to ask yourself about why you're doing it. And you also have to decide, once you see the answers, how is it you're going to actually decide on the answers? Because that's going to help you know why you're making a change, if you're making a change for the right reasons, because you do have to know where you're going when you get there so you can identify it. And as I said, there could be lots of reasons why you are reevaluating your career. It could be the company you work for has had a merger, had a buyout. Maybe you don't like the way the personality of the company is anymore, or you're concerned that there will be job cuts. Any of those reasons are certainly reasons to make you think about, do I need to start looking for a job? Or it could be personal. We get a lot of moms who want to re-enter the workforce after they've raised their children. We actually see more adults who come into Career Vision for testing than we do see kids who are either wanting a different career after they may have retired from one career, or again, if they're going to be career changers. And you may want to stay within your industry that you're working in, or you may want to go outside of that industry. But you do need to be aware of what's going on in the economy and in the workplace, and certainly with COVID, we're all aware of that. And that type of awareness is something, again, you're going to need all through your working years. And there's always going to be a common goal or an action that you have to take if you're going to prepare yourself for the next step. And you want to do that sooner rather than later if you're planning on changing your career. So do you ever feel like that square peg in the round hole? Have you thought about reasons about why you want to change? Do you feel bored at your job? Do you feel like there's no more excitement, that you can't go any higher in your job and you really want to learn new things? It could be that you just feel like you don't like working with the people that you're with. Whatever reason it is, maybe you came home one day and said, you know, work was awful today. It's time for me to update my resume. It happens. But it kind of helps too if you can imagine yourself and how you think you're going to change. And if you imagine yourself in a year ahead of time and think about what it would look like if you actually changed your job, and how did this job change you? How did it affect you? Are you actually happier in this envisioned year ahead of time? Are you richer? Are you healthier? You know, what is it you are looking for, and what is it you think is the most important things for you that you're looking for in this next job? You do have to be very clear about what you like and what you don't like. You have to have an honest conversation with yourself and say, you know, what's currently working in my job? But there must be some good points, right? And what is it that's not working? Could be any number of things. These are just some of the examples. And if you can define what you do like in your current job and what you want to keep, and those that you can do without, it'll help you looking in the right direction for the next job. It could be any one of these things, or it could be, as I mentioned earlier, growth opportunities that you're looking for. Maybe you just need a break. Maybe you need a break so that you can come back to your job refreshed. And once you've identified what you like and what you don't like, let me encourage you to write these things down so that you don't forget what your goal is, so that you can move forward with a solution by knowing what you're looking at. And before you totally give up on your current company, if you're just thinking about this change because you want to, have you looked around the company that you're in You may not have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe you could talk to your boss and say, I'm feeling like I'm at a plateau with my job. Do you think there might be another department in the company that I would fit in? Or maybe you've identified another department in the company or a team that you would like to be working on. Or perhaps you know about a new job that the company's going to be working on, and talk to your boss and say, do you think when this comes up, this would be something I could work on? So you can identify something that gives you something to actually look forward to and can maybe change your job so that you don't have to start over in a new business. You can keep your vacation, you can keep your hours, the things that are good. It may be just a tweak that you need to make, that you can make a tweak and keep your company, keep where you're going to go, but stay and change other things about it. And you do need to know what is it you want from your change. You have to know what you want so that you know what you're looking for. And some people, particularly in Chicago, it could be the commute. It could be that you're not getting enough time off. You don't have enough of that work-family balance. Whatever it is, again, please keep writing it down. And remember that each job has a lot of different factors to it. And there are things you're always going to be attracted to, and some you may not. You might be the adventurous person. You might want to be working in a startup, or you might find particular services in a particular company that you really love, and you think that's really where you want to be. It may be the boss. Do you like the kind of boss that's always hands-on, or do you like one who just lets you get your work done? And do you have certain career goals over time that you are hoping to attain? So if you are thinking about making a change, it can be a bit like a roller coaster. It can be rather emotional at first if you have to change, or even if you want to. And it might be an easy change for you. You might walk into something easily. On the other hand, it could be a hard change, and sometimes it can be very hard. So you have to be prepared for that and know that these things are going to happen when you are looking for a different job. And there may be some trial and error that's going on as you're trying on different jobs. And you might feel confused, you might feel indecisive at times, but it's natural. And of course, you've written down what you're looking for, so you have a goal there. And if you're looking for a job that may be outside of where you have been working, it may require additional time on your part and additional effort on your part if you're looking outside of your comfort zone. And you may have to learn a whole new skill. You never know. One day you could be really excited about a phone call you got, and the next day you may be unhappy about an interview that didn't go so well. But again, it's just normal. Be prepared with it. Remember, you have to convince people who don't know you that you are competent, you're valuable, and they should really want to work with you because you're going to be really helpful to them. And we are certainly all adjusting to the new world of work. We've seen that this last year. Things have definitely changed, and who knows in a year from now really what it's going to look like. And we know that we are part of the global perspective, the whole world. The technological changes are fast. They're fast and they happen, it seems like, overnight sometimes. And you may have to keep up with these. In most any job that you're doing, there are going to be changes over the course of your career, and you're going to have to keep up with them. And this may not be the most exciting thing for me to say, but you're going to have to be a lifelong learner. You're going to have to want to keep up, and you may want to because you really like your job, but you're going to have to keep up with things that are going to be changing, and you're going to be wanting to learn as you go along. And one of the biggest pieces from this slide for anybody to remember is the self-reliant piece. Employers today are looking for people with education, and they're also looking for people with experience. They will be looking for people who can advocate for themselves, who can show initiative, identify opportunities that they may like to do. And they certainly want you to be able to articulate what it is you can do for that employer. And career changers, it's a process, and you will be working on this. And it's not a method. We don't want you to have a method of throwing your resumes out there and just seeing what sticks on the wall. That you want to be focusing on your targets, and you want to cast your net wisely, not widely, taking the time to match your career skills, your career experience, your educational experience, whatever it is, with the current market needs. And you will find that oftentimes your past skills, your past experience will also transfer to other job demands. The deal here is you have to be the problem solver that employer is looking for. That's what he wants, somebody who can solve his problems, and you want to convince him you're going to be that person that he's looking for. Job satisfaction. Well, that's a tough one. Are we all going to be satisfied with our jobs? Well, from a business's point of view, as I mentioned a bit earlier, they are looking for somebody who not only has knowledge, but also has skills. And I can see there's the deer in the headlight look when you ask a new graduate, what is your experience? Because I just graduated, I don't have skills. Well, if you are serious about being in a particular career, you may be working while you're in school. You might be doing part-time work. You certainly might be working on internships. I met a man who was an executive with McDonald's, and he was flipping hamburgers when he was in college, and he knew his way all the way through the hierarchy of McDonald's, but he started at the very bottom. So they're looking for people who can fit the job, who they can hire, who can come in and slide right into working on that job. And of course, they're going to give you the pay, the health benefits, and all that that's going to make you happy, presumably. And from your point of view, you're going to be using your knowledge, your skills, your ability, and you want to use your skills, your talents again, what you have to fit into that job so that you can do it well, so that you can feel successful, and you're going to feel like your work is being valued. And if all those things work, everybody's going to be happy. We hope that they'll be happy when they get to that far anyway. And sometimes it is what you're looking for in that job is what are they offering you? And it could be any number of things that you want. It could be the health insurance, as I mentioned, or the vacation time, whatever it is. But you're going to really be feeling valued and satisfied during the job, on the job, if you're doing, contributing to a job that you like and you're using your skills. Under career management, the self-knowledge piece we are going to talk in depth about in a few minutes. But again, that piece is knowing your skills, what you're good at, and what you can contribute. You must understand the trends in the economy, as I mentioned to you. Things are changing, but you need to keep an eye on it. You need to look at what your position you want, and you may be looking at a different position than one that you're currently in. And a good way to do that, to see if you can actually get into that particular job, is to read the job postings and see what they're asking for. Perhaps there's a certificate or something special, a skill in a particular software, something that they want in that job that you find attractive. So keep your eye on what these places are asking for and see, do you have it? Do you have a gap analysis? Can you do what they ask, or do you need to pick up some extra education in a particular area to get to the job that you want to go? And it is very important to setting your goals, as I've mentioned, and writing everything down as you go along. At Career Vision, we look at the person who comes in as the whole person. We look at their values. That is, what is important to you in that job? What do you want from that job? What need will it fill for you? Is it going to be making $1 million in a year, or are you more concerned about working on the ozone layer? What gives you the impetus to get up on a Monday morning and go into work because you're excited about going into work? What gives that job meaning for you? And look at your interests. What is it you think you would like to do? Now, your interests can be affected by people you know, places you've been, and your interests will change over time. What you were interested in when you were 16, 18 years old may not be the same things that you were interested in when you're 25, 30, or 35. They can change. You want to look at your personality when you're thinking about a job. Are you the kind of person who loves working with people? You want to be in a team situation to bounce ideas off of people, be creative, and bring out the best in people? Or are you the person who says, just tell me what you want to do, give me my job, I'm going to go do it, I don't need a lot of people to help me? That is sort of important too, to realize what kind of personality you have. Emotional intelligence, you may or may not have heard about emotional intelligence. It's sort of a buzzword these days, but emotional intelligence refers to your ability to identify and manage your own emotions as well as those of other people. So you have to be sensitive, and I know that's sort of a loaded word, but you need to be sensitive to other people so that you can interact with them. And it does become a big part of management in various fields. And even if you think I'm going to be working solitary and I don't need this emotional intelligence stuff, you still may have to interact with coworkers, and you certainly may have to interact with a boss. So don't discount that totally. And the aptitudes is the piece that we think is so important, and that is those strengths, those natural abilities that we are all born with. They can be tested, they can be identified. We can look at your spatial relationships. We can look at how organized you are, all sorts of things, spatial intelligence, and that fits in there. If you know what your strengths are, you can play to your strengths, I like to say, to accentuate the positive and build upon them so that you can study things that are going to make sense to you more quickly, and it's going to come to you more easily than other areas of subjects, and it'll put you in the right place when you're using your aptitudes. You're going to be hitting on all cylinders. You'll be much happier when you do. The toolkit, again, something you may or may not have heard of. What is in your toolkit? And that involves your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities. And you want to put in everything you have in your arsenal into that toolkit when you are looking for a job, or even if you're looking for maybe a raise. But do you have any degrees? Do you have any special credentials or skills? Everything goes in there. You may have taken a trip somewhere that was a unique experience. That may be coming handy to you at some point. Did you work on a huge project, even a small project, but it was a huge win, something that you could bring out again to talk about? Put that in there. How about people that you know? Your network is going to be extremely important to you all of your life, no matter where you go. Talk to people that you know. Tell them that you're thinking about changing your jobs or thinking about this particular direction, and ask them, what do you think my superpowers are? And do you think I would do well in this job? These are people who hopefully know you well and can give you an honest answer on which way you think you might be going. Your support system, it's going to be important to you. You don't want to do this totally alone. It's your family, your could be your colleagues, definitely some of your friends, and you're building your own board of directors by having that support system. People that you know that you can go to when you have questions or you want to bounce ideas off of them. Uh, it could be a trusted friend, somebody who has another idea, perhaps an idea you've never thought of. Or do you agree? Ask them, do they agree with the way that you're going? Or do they have any other ideas? Um, if you have companies that you're targeting and you think you would like to get into that company or into that type of a job, and they aren't currently in your network, perhaps you could join a group on LinkedIn or a professional organization and get some more information that way. Perhaps even an in person, not anymore, but at some point, a networking event. And ask them about going into these new paths that you're thinking about. And a great way to find out about a job that you may or may not have all the answers to is an informational interview. Let's say, for instance, you want to be a vet and you like to work with animals. I'm going to call up 4 or 5 vets in my area, and you will find that most people are very happy to talk about themselves and their job and ask them for a half hour's worth of time. And you want to go in and you want to talk to them about questions that you won't be able to necessarily find on the internet, for instance. Other questions like, what is it you really love about your job? It could be the hours, it might be the time off, and what is it that you don't like about your job? Do you have any special questions for me or how I happen to get interested in this? Do you have any recommendations for specific subjects that I need to be taking in school? Were there any things that you wished you had done in your career that looking back, you wish you had done them earlier or at any time? And depending on the type of job you're looking at, what's the future of this job? What do you see changing possibly in the future for this job? Hopefully you can build a rapport with this person. If you're a student or if you're even thinking about changing your jobs, you might be able to go back to this person when you need that part-time job, when you need that summer job, or when you need an internship so that you can put those things on your resume. You already have someone that you have talked to. And this person that you've talked to could refer you to someone else. There could be someone else that they know who has a subspecialty or someone in a different part of that type of industry that you might want to talk to. So keep that network going all the time. You're going to want it. Your network is extremely important to you all the way through. People in your network can help you when jobs come up. You know, a lot of times when jobs are posted, they're already filled because someone has brought it to the attention of the HR company already. And also, if you know somebody who works in a particular company or in a particular industry that you would like to be in and you want to apply, if you can get someone to walk in with your resume in their hand and take it into the HR department, you have a much better chance of having your resume looked at than if it is sent through the internet. You probably don't even know these days if your resume gets looked at when you send it in electronically. So your network can help you with that too. And that is a very important piece. Get your foot in the door right away. When you're looking for a job, you do need to be realistic about the job that you're looking for. I'm sure you all know that you want to tailor your resumes to the job. You want to use the buzzwords, whatever the job description has, whatever those words are, you want to use those words in your resume. And your skills that you have may be the exact same skills they're asking for in that job description. They just may call it differently. So read that carefully so that you can transfer your skills into a different industry if you need to. Excuse me. Um, your skills will transfer, hopefully, to other areas, but be realistic about it. It's okay to be reaching for a little bit higher job. You're going to go for it, go right ahead, go for it. But be realistic. Again, if you need to pick up some sort of a certification in an area, do that. But always use the language, the jargon of whatever industry so that you can get your resume picked up because you're using the right words. Now, what if you want to change your career? You're going to have the same job, but at a different company. And that's the easiest way to change your job. You know the job, you know what you have to do, and you know the slang, the jargon that you want to use. But what if you're going on a different job somewhere else, but in the same industry? Again, you're still going to know the language, you still may know people, but again, you may have some gaps in your knowledge or your skills or your abilities, something that you may have to look into. What if you're going to do the same job, but in a totally different industry? Yeah, you know what the job is, perhaps, but you're not going to know as many people, and you may not be able to talk the talk just like they do. And the hardest level to change your job is a different job in a totally different industry where you definitely have to do a gap analysis, check your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, and you may know fewer people. Again, that's where your network is going to help you, and you will have to know how to speak the language, as it were. And let me caution you as well, when you're looking at the job descriptions or you're looking for a new job, don't just look at the job title. It is essential that you look for what the job does. That's the important part. The job title tells you little. It's what they actually do on the job that is going to be the most important to you. So that's where you should focus. And we have found that this works well for a lot of things, actually, going to college, deciding on what you want to study, but it works just as well if you want to change your job. And you want to start with the end. So start on the far right-hand side, and you know you want to change your job. You know you're going to need to be interviewing. You know you're going to have to be looking at resumes and so forth. That's your goal on the right-hand side. So what do I have to do to be prepared? Well, you may have to go to more school. You certainly have to research whatever it is you think you want to do and make sure you know as much about it as you possibly can. You know that you may be needing to learn all the way through. And before that, you might want to go back to those informational interviews so you can learn about that job and find out if it's really something that you want to do. You want to make sure your resume reflects the jargon, the language of wherever it is you want to go. You need to go back further and start your networking. You can start your networking when you're in junior high school, college, building that network up. Every job you take, every internship you take, make connections with people. And if you have to go back even farther than that, you're starting to look for a job. You have to start planning. What is it I want out of this job? What do I like about my job? What don't I like about my job? What would I really like to do if I can? That's your timeline. You've got a goal that you set, and you have a way to work your way through it. You may even want to give yourself a timeline as well as how long you're going to give yourself to work on this. It'll certainly make your life a lot easier if you do work on your timeline, make your decisions a whole lot easier as well. You want to have your takeaways for today. Don't forget that you must understand what you're thinking, what you're feeling about your job. You must understand what it is you're going to be looking for. And that toolkit is really important. If it's so much as I was a waitress or a wait staff person during summers, that's a great basis for customer service. So don't underestimate. We tend to underestimate our skills, and you really want to use everything in your arsenal if you're looking for a job. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't need to go too far the other way, but use whatever you have because it is important. And know for sure what it is you're looking for in that new job. Know what your talents are. Know yourself. Remember the puzzle pieces. Know yourself. What is it you want from that job that's going to make you want to get up and go to work? What are you interested in doing? And that is your sweet spot. And that is where your aptitudes, where your strengths and your interests come together. That is what you're looking for. That's your sweet spot for your job. Remember your gap analysis. You may need it, you may not need it, but make a plan, write all of this down, use your timeline, and don't forget to do your networking as often as you can. Remember, you have to show that company what it is you can do for them and how your talents are going to help them reach their goals and their bottom line, which is usually making money. Now, Eric, do we have any questions?
Sure. All right. Well, let me look at the Facebook Live. Does anyone in the Zoom call have a question? You can raise your hand by going to the reactions and then raise hand feature if you'd like to do that. Let me look real quick to see if we have any on our Facebook Live or any other questions. One that's popping up. What advice would you give to high school students who are unsure of what college major they want to pursue?
Well, one thing, as I said, is to really look at your strengths. What are you good at? What subjects are you really good at? For me, biology was something that I really loved. And on the other hand, I was the girl in the math class who was hoping she would get out of there unscathed. So I know what my good points are, and I know what my bad points are. So you need to look at your subjects. What is it you like? And you can go online and look at, say if it were biology that you really liked or chemistry, and you can go online and look for what can I do with this major? And they will give you lists of various careers that would be supported by studying whatever is of interest to you. And by looking at those, that's where your interest is going to come into it. So that you're going to look at these jobs and say, yeah, I like this idea. That looks really nice. If I was a biology major, I might really like working in a zoo. I might like working with animals. I might not like working for a vet because there is that downside when animals are sick and I'm faint heart. So look at the things you do well. Don't underestimate them. We think everybody else can do them, but not everybody else can. Look at what you're good at. Go online and look and say, what can I do with this major? And look at the jobs that you find interesting.
Great, thank you. Again, yeah, if you want to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. Gabby.
So my question would be, what advice or what piece of advice would you give to graduating college students or even current college students?
My first I'll ask a question, and that is, why did you go to college? And I'd like you to say, because you wanted to get a job or you wanted to learn something. And we hope that you had a goal when you went to college, that you were going to college, not for exactly going to college, but for what you were going to do after college. So presumably the major that you chose was an area that you really liked. I would like to think that maybe you have actually been doing something in that area of study. Again, if you wanted to be a vet, if you had to, you could volunteer at a shelter. Anything that you can do to show that you're serious about a particular career. If you chose a major and you had absolutely no idea what you were going to do with it, that happens. You can also go online and look and see what can I do with this major. If you're in college, that's a great time to do it because, as I said, that experience is so important. It really is. And if you can work in that industry, no matter what it is, flipping burgers at McDonald's, whatever it is, that will give you the, let you know, is this something I want to do or I don't want to do. The internships are so great for a college student. Again, you really have to look at what are the things that you really like, where are your strengths, and what is it you think you want to do with them. And look at your major and see what kind of jobs appeal to you.
All right. One more question. Are any free resources that you recommend that people look at when they're considering a career change or choosing a major career path that you would recommend that they're good to you?
Sure. Well, first of all, I have to tell you, we do have our website at careervision.org. We've been doing this for, like I said, almost 35 years. We have numerous resources on our website. It's all there free. It's for anybody to look at, give them information, get them thinking about their careers or their educational choices. The Department of Labor also has a lot of good information on there. Department of Education, look at those websites and they'll give you a lot of information to help you along your path.
Great, thank you. Anyone have any other questions for Georgia? Let me check our Facebook Live real quick to see if anyone commented anything on there. All right. Well, if no one has any other questions, thank you so much for presenting today for the Michigan Education Fund for our community. We really appreciate it. For those watching on Facebook Live, for those in our Zoom chat, the Michigan Education Fund provides grants to students and student organizations to reduce the cost burden on families and students participating in extracurricular activities. Our grant programs are open, so feel free to let your students, colleagues, parents know about our programs so that we can help as many students as possible. Make sure to like, share, and follow our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff. And that would be amazing. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Georgia, for your presentation. And remember, you can visit Career Vision. Their website has a lot of great resources. So
we certainly do, and we're happy to help you out whenever we can.